Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate help.
This is why, of course, she's on The View and not working for the most powerful man in the world, because Karoline would wipe the floor with you bitter banshees any day.
Joe Biden knows how to do this. Yes, he knows how to do this. He's quite good at this. And you know, you can't refute anything with him because he just, when I say him, I mean...
He rambles.
Trump.
Yeah.
He tends to just...
But can I mention one thing?
A few days ago, we covered the heated on-air clash between new White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt and Whoopi Goldberg. However, due to time constraints, we couldn't fully explore the intense exchange or the wild reactions that followed. Now let's dive deeper into what went down in the aftermath that had everyone talking.
I'm a working mom and always have been. I've been a professional woman since I graduated from college or law school. But now there's, I think, a good thing, which is like the restoration of valuing so-called traditional moms, and that's great. The women who take care of their kids full time, most of my best friends are doing exactly that. But it seems like in the right, there's like a bit of a shift toward like, you can't do what Karoline's doing. That's actually like an unsafe or a dangerous or a bad choice for families, for children, which I reject wholesale, but you hear it more and more.
Yeah.
Do you hear that? What do you...
Honestly, Karoline is making some solid points, and I can't understand why people are attacking a hardworking mother in the first place. Let's hear what she has to say next.
Reject that it's a bad choice. Is it a tough choice? Absolutely. You know, as a mother, you want to be with your child 24/7. You have that maternal instinct.
27.
Yeah. Not all the time. Well, right now, yes, because he's 7 months and just squishy and lovable, but I'm sure that will change. No, but you know, you do have that maternal instinct, but also recognizing like, I'm doing this work for my son and for all children to make this country better. And it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Instead of addressing Karoline Leavitt's actual points, critics went straight for her personal life, dragging out a tired, outdated take that belongs in the history books. Rather than debating her arguments, they suddenly questioned why a mother of a 7-month-old was even working in the first place. Yes, you heard that right. The same crowd that preaches women can do anything. The same people who have spent years advocating for equal opportunities suddenly hit the brakes. Apparently, the second a woman publicly embarrasses one of their media darlings, the rules change. Suddenly, she's supposed to be at home baking cookies and contemplating her life choices. The hypocrisy is off the charts. These are the same voices that champion female empowerment until it becomes inconvenient for their narrative. If Whoopi had landed the punches, they'd be cheering. But since Leavitt held her own, they weaponized motherhood against her.
It's also it's temporary, right? In 4 years, my son will be 4 years old and the president will no longer be at the White House. And then I'll move on and do something else. But, you know, this chaos of 24/7 work is a temporary matter. And that's what at least I tell myself to get through these very long and hard days. But I would reject that you can't be a good mom and be good at your job. I think you can do both. It certainly it's not for everybody. And it takes a lot of work and will and faith and prayer. And it's hard, but it can be done. And, you know, I would reject that.
And let's not forget, this wasn't just a few online trolls. This was an entire movement flipping its own script just to take Karoline Leavitt down. So the real question is, was this about her job performance, or was it about protecting certain untouchable figures in the media? You decide. Seriously, where's the logic in this outrage? Leavitt is out here making solid points, yet somehow the internet is losing its mind. Since when did being a hardworking mother become a crime? But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's hear what she has to say next. And just like that, Leavitt dismantles the woke hysteria like a wrecking ball through a house of paper-thin arguments. No shouting, no theatrics, just straight-up common sense. She delivers her points so effortlessly, it's almost comical how unprepared her critics are. Her message, motherhood and a career are not mutually exclusive. Women have been balancing both for generations, and, brace yourself, it's totally possible to succeed in both without the world collapsing. Groundbreaking stuff, right? Someone alert the think tanks.
I mean, I gotta ask you, because they said it, are you aware of any plots from Elon Musk
to push President Trump down the stairs.
Absolutely not. Let me be unequivocally clear about that. And watching this clip, I couldn't help but think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists. But they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years. They likened President Trump to Hitler. They have mocked him. They have shamed him. They have lied about him consistently on their show. And it was a joy to watch them on November the 6th when they realized that tens of millions of Americans do not listen to the lies that they have spewed. These women are completely out of touch with
Leavitt makes a powerful turn in her argument by not only advocating for working mothers, but also unapologetically embracing traditional values, challenging societal norms in the process. She openly acknowledges something many are hesitant to admit. Balancing work and raising a child is incredibly challenging, and not every woman aspires to lead that life. In fact, she boldly states that it's okay not to. By rejecting the expectation that all women must juggle both career and motherhood to be fulfilled, Leavitt offers a refreshing and vital perspective, one that challenges the conventional idea that true feminism requires having it all. She delivers a compelling message that breaks away from the mainstream narrative, acknowledging that every woman's path is different. For some, fulfilling motherhood may not involve a career, and for others, it may. In this vein, she asks an important question that rarely gets asked. Why don't full-time mothers receive the same respect as women whose primary focus is their careers? This critical point underlines the imbalance in societal respect for various roles women choose to take on, urging us to reconsider our definitions of success and fulfillment. Through her bold stance, Leavitt brings a much-needed perspective to the conversation, reminding us that the notion of what a successful woman looks like shouldn't be one-size-fits-all.
A lot of women are preparing themselves for the impact of the incoming administration, which has led to this growing mantra from male right-wing incels. Your body, my choice. Say that to my face.
Elon Musk, the billionaire known for revolutionizing space travel and AI, is allegedly plotting to push Trump down the stairs. Yes, really. It's almost too absurd to believe. Yet here we are. As if that's not enough, the leading voices of this intellectual meltdown are none other than the hosts of The View who seem to think they're running a congressional committee from their coffee tables. Unable to handle Karoline Leavitt dismantling their queen bee on national television, they redirected their frustration toward Trump and Musk. It's like watching satire unfold in real time, fueled by exaggerated conspiracies and misplaced outrage.
Must have really wrestled with how you were going to meet the high bar set by Karine Jean-Pierre. Was that... Sorry, was that out loud? No, she was terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So how has your approach differed, would you say?
I think it's vastly different. And if you ask people, even in the legacy media, even the Trump haters, they will tell you the approach has been much different. Not just from me, but the entire White House. Oh, absolutely. They come in my office every day and they'll admit that off the record. Oh. Maybe not on the record, but they will say they appreciate the access and the transparency and the preparation that goes into my briefings and everybody on our team.
Whoopi Goldberg, never one to back down quietly, made a final attempt to take a swing at Karoline Leavitt. But even she knew better than to face Leavitt directly, so she cowardly shifted her attack to Trump instead. And then, in an unbelievable moment on national television, Whoopi did the unthinkable. She spat after saying Trump's name, like some cartoon villain tasting defeat. Apparently, when out of arguments, spitting is the next go-to strategy. Classy, right? But if she thought that would go unnoticed, she was wrong. Leavitt wasn't about to let it slide. With the precision of a surgeon and the force of a freight train, she fired back. This is debate now. Leavitt scoffed. When you can't win on facts, you resort to playground antics. Leavitt went on, calling out the hypocrisy of those preaching civility while turning ABC into a slapstick show. By the time she was done, Goldberg's dramatic move looked less like a statement and more like sheer desperation.
To an IG report from the Social Security Administration, there were $71
billion worth of fraud in one single fiscal year that we know about. And so that is a lot of fraud, Peter.
To be clear, that $71 billion was from 2015 to 2022, so it wasn't in just 1 year, and it was
$71 billion.
But it wasn't in 1 year, just over multiple years, from 2015 to 2022.
So are you defending $71 billion in fraud, Peter? That's a lot of money. Why is the media so against cutting waste, fraud, and abuse from the government? I don't get it. We won't be deterred. We will not be deterred from people like you and
The internet quickly caught fire after Whoopi's moment, with memes flooding in before asterisk. The View asterisk could even cut to commercial. One user wrote, "These women will have to hide soon. I wouldn't feel safe walking down the street if I were them." Others pointed out that Goldberg had spat in the face of half the country, literally spitting on Trump's supporters. Some even suspected the whole stunt was for ratings, with one comment reading, "I'm convinced they pay her extra to act foolish." But here's the real twist. Did Karoline Leavitt just expose the media and Trump haters in one fell swoop? The same journalists who attack her, questioning her credentials and mom-shaming her, are secretly sneaking into her office to thank her off-camera. Yes, the same people who publicly paint her as a villain are privately whispering, "Thanks for actually doing your job." Why? Because under Biden's press team, they couldn't even get in the door. You literally can't make this stuff up.
How do you prepare? Because you can't know everything, and you could get asked anything. And unlike Karine Jean-Pierre, you're not out there reading and furiously flipping through your tabs to try to find an answer somebody else has written for you. So how are you preparing?
So I did prepare a binder for the first briefing. My great assistant, Keegan, put it together. And then I showed up to work and it was like this thick. And I was like, I can't even move this. I can't use this. It was too cumbersome for my brain and the way I learn and think and study to have that. It felt like added weight. And I said, I want to just go in there and speak from my mind and from my heart.
Like your boss.
Like my boss.
Honestly, should anyone be surprised, hypocrisy isn't just common on the left, it's practically a job requirement. And it's not just asterisk, the View asterisk, it's the entire media ecosystem pretending to fight corruption while secretly propping it up. Meanwhile, Karoline Leavitt stands there, watching the whole charade unravel. Fresh off her verbal smackdown with Whoopi Goldberg, Leavitt barely has time to catch her breath before another woke journalist swoops in, ready to set the record straight. But were they focused on the actual issue she exposed? Of course not. That would require critical thinking, something they actively avoid. Instead, they went straight to the usual playbook. Step 1, ignore the scandal. Step 2, attack the whistleblower. Step 3, congratulate themselves for saving democracy. Classic.
I think she's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though, it's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
Leavitt wasn't about to back down. With her signature calm and cutting precision, the kind that turns internet clips into viral gold, she fired back. "Oh, I'm sorry," she quipped. "I didn't realize exposing corruption was less important than satisfying your fact-checking fetish." The best part, the journalist, clearly flustered, doubled down. Instead of addressing the real issue at hand, they nitpicked her words, hoping to trip her up while completely ignoring the giant scandal right in front of them. By the time Leavitt was done, this wasn't just a debate. It was a full-blown demolition. The journalist walked away looking less like a truth seeker and more like an unpaid PR rep for the very fraud Leavitt had just exposed. It's clear she wasn't just out there making a point. She was taking names. It leaves you wondering, how does she always seem so prepared? Because Leavitt doesn't just keep up in debates, she dominates them. While others struggle to follow the conversation, she is already 5 steps ahead, dissecting the core issues with surgical precision. Each debate she enters seems less like a challenge and more like a masterclass in dismantling weak arguments. And with every victory, she only strengthens her reputation as a force to be reckoned with.
It's a very nice-looking lady, but it isn't true that that's why she got the job. She got the job because she was the national spokesman for the campaign, and she did a very good job at in that role. And the campaign was hugely successful and communicated very effectively. That is why she got the job. Even if Karoline Leavitt weren't a pretty lady, even if she were a male, gremlin, monstrous-looking fellow, she still would have gotten the job based on how effective the campaign communications was. Furthermore, Karoline Leavitt ran for Congress. I was talking to Roger Stone about this when we were trying to figure out who the picks for the administration were going to be. He said, I think Leavitt's going to get the White House press sec job. I think she earned the job. And I like that she has been in the fire. She's run for office.
And there it is, Karoline Leavitt's secret. No scripts, no focus groups, no PR-approved buzzwords. She speaks from the heart, plain and simple. While her critics rely on consultants' talking points and carefully curated outrage, Leavitt skips the theatrics and delivers unfiltered reality, something their recycled sound bites can't compete with. No hypocrisy, no dodging, just straight facts and confidence that leave her critics blinking like deer caught in headlights. Meanwhile, the woke brigade is busy crafting the perfect insult thread on X, formerly Twitter. For those still pretending it's 2016, Leavitt's already 5 steps ahead, dismantling their arguments before they even hit post. In a world drowning in virtue signaling and performative outrage, her authenticity isn't just refreshing, it's a threat to those whose platforms rely on smoke and mirrors. So when Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg reduce an obviously intelligent woman to nothing more than her looks, it's not just disingenuous, it's downright pathetic. Leavitt doesn't just challenge the status quo, she exposes it for what it truly is.
Now to the cackling witch herself, Joy Behar from The View, whose jealousy is something to behold. Here is her assessment of Trump's new White House press secretary, Karoline Leavitt.
I think she's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though, it's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
The ever-empowering feminist, Joy herself, everyone. And this is why, of course, she's on The View and not working for the most powerful man in the world, because Karoline would wipe the floor with you bitter banshees any day.
It's starting to look like the women on Asterisk, The View Asterisk aren't just offended by Karoline Leavitt. They're envious. Envious of her intellect, her composure, and of course, her rapid rise to prominence. Let's face it, Leavitt has achieved more in a few years than they have after decades of ranting on TV. When jealousy takes over, logic goes out the window, and that's when their strategy kicks in. Say whatever it takes to tear her down, no matter how absurd, petty, or hypocritical. It's like high school drama, but with worse takes and a bigger budget. They can't attack her record. It's solid. They can't challenge her arguments. She obliterates them. So they default to the oldest trick in the woke playbook, character assassination. They claim she's only successful because of Trump, as if they'd ever say the same about a liberal working mom. But here's the truth. This isn't about politics. It's about envy. Leavitt is winning the culture war just by existing, and the more successful she gets, the louder their tantrums grow. Just ask Michael Knowles. Leavitt isn't just smart, she's proven. Remember her congressional run. She didn't just show up as a Gen Z token candidate. She actually won the Republican primary, crushing Trump's supposed frontrunner, Matt Mowers. Sure, she lost to Democrat Chris Pappas, but it wasn't a wipeout. She made the establishment sweat. That wasn't just a resume booster. It was real-world experience, the kind woke pundits pretend to understand while sipping lats and drafting their next fact check. When Leavitt steps up to the podium with her quick, sharp comebacks, it's not just youthful confidence, it's the skill of someone who's been in the trenches, taking the hits and coming out stronger. No wonder the left can't stand her. She's everything they claim to support but secretly fear. Smart, resilient, and actually effective. As we've pointed out, the ladies on Asterisk, The View Asterisk aren't just annoyed by Leavitt, they're jealous. And who could blame them? While they sit in a cushy studio recycling tired talking points, Leavitt is shaping narratives inside the White House. Let that sink in.